Hey guys, Andrew Dobie here, and welcome to this episode of Just a Chat With. In our previous episode, we sat down with the ever-enthusiastic Craig Black. He talked to us all the way through his creative journey, how he's turned from creative and freelance designer all the way to visual artist, and how he's developing new creative methods like his acrylic fusion technique. Before now, we've also had amazing people like Michael Wolff, Marty Newmeyer, Debbie Millman, and Noah Klokek from Pixar. If you haven't had a check at any of those episodes, please go listen to them. In today's episode, I sit down with Alex Dickens, who is the head of brand at protein bar company Grenade. He talks us through his journey from joining the business as a junior graphic designer all the way up into his position now as head of brand. He talks about how he gets the best out of his creative team and what the Grenade brand stands for beyond the products. I hope you enjoy this episode. So hi, welcome Alex. How are you? How are things? Where are you joining us from today?
Yeah, all good. Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm in my home office. Working a standard day now in this sort of new conditions as we're all living in. So yeah, coming from based in the West Midlands, near Solihull. The office is down the road, so I can always pop in and do that. So yeah, everything going okay?
Good, yeah. And I always kind of like to ask people about, are you doing a bit of hybrid working, or are you now fully from home, or how does your role sort of fit at the moment?
Yeah, so we're the whole of Grenade is hybrid working and really flexible working. So everyone's been given permission to do what they want, really, which is really good. Because before COVID and before this sort of new way of working, it was very much sort of in the office 9 to 5, and now everyone's been given permission. They've seen how we've handled working lockdown. So yeah, coming out the back of it, one of the positives I'd say is a lot of people are there to work how they want, really, and whatever suits them.
Yeah, and how do you find that sort of affects the culture of a creative team? You know, I know ourselves. We're similar in my business, that we've let everyone go where they need to go, and we've retained 3 offices, and we kind of use them almost like gang huts now. So places you can sort of come together and congregate. But I do know that creativity often works really well when you're around people and the energy of people, and the kind of sometimes it's even just hearing ideas over the shoulder of something, and you kind of miss a little bit of that, is what I find, because you don't hear so many conversations going, right?
Yeah, exactly that. At the start of a lockdown, when we all went in, it was quite everyone to the battle stations. So everyone really went home, knew what they were doing. They were aligned from the conversations we were having for the start of the year, and one went into it. So at the start of it, we kind of it was quite novelty. We kind of got into it, and everyone was working really well, and everyone was aligned. And I think once those ideas are depleted, people, you got new starters, then it struggles to get that culture, that sort of environment to breathe creativity. We always put it, productivity was up in lockdown, but creativity was down. And it's still a challenge now, really. It's still a challenge, and Grenade is always a changing beast, and through lockdown was no different. And there's more staff, we outgrew the office we started lockdown in. So to get everyone to move back in was impossible for the team, really, to do. So we're getting there. We work now, the marketing and creative departments, which all are in-house, are in Thursdays and Fridays, and the office is open. So whoever wants to jump in can go. If people love the office, they're working. And the people who actually, I need the collab, I'll do that meeting in the morning, have the creative ideas, but I've actually got a set of ads to design. I'm going to go home, and we've done that, and it's bred this sort of this culture of sort of owning your work, not your time, like not being 9 till 5.
Yeah, exactly.
It's owning your time, really, owning the briefs, and it's been really refreshing, really, from the top down, really, to give these people, everyone in the business, control of their time, and as long as the work's getting done, we're happy, and that is one of the big positives. But it's going good.
Absolutely. So you're head of brand at Grenade. Can you explain that role for those that wouldn't understand it, any of the listeners that don't know what that means?
Yeah, so head of brand at Grenade. So for anyone who doesn't know who Grenade are, so we started off sort of for sports nutrition, all about sort of weight loss, weight management, protein powders, all of that, and we've now transitioned really into sort of your active nutrition, your on the go sort of snacks, healthy snacks, high protein, low sugar, and that's what that Grenade is. We're all about sort of fueling people's day, making sure that they're fueled to tackle whatever life throws at them is sort of a strap line we go by. And myself, as head of brand now, I look after everything's in house for Grenade, which is something we're quite proud of, something we've done from the start.
Sure.
And my job also really is making sure the graphic designers, the animators, the digital designers, videographers, they do what they do best nowadays.
Yeah.
They do. We've got a team of 8 in there, so we do all the packaging, all the ads, all the crazy experiential ideas. We do all that in house, and it's my job really to facilitate that, make sure everything really has got the same culture as maybe day one Grenade has. We've got a marketing team as well in house, and they're run by a head of marketing. But my job naturally goes over them again: social media managers, influencer managers, trade marketing. How do we do it the Grenade way? Now that we're growing, we've got more money, we've got more people. How do we still retain that thing what made Grenade great at the start, really, and got us cut through? So that's a bit of everything, really. Grenade is a fun place to work, and everyone has chips into everyone's role, really, and that's how it's always been from day one.
Yeah, and you've been on quite a transition in the company. I mean, you joined 2014 as a junior graphic designer. Do you want to talk us through what that's looked like? Because it's obviously been a very exciting time. I think the business must have been 2 or 3 years old at that time, maybe. And I think that's quite an interesting transition for young creatives listening to go. Like, how do you start from that design position, leading all the way up to brand?
Yeah. So I joined Grenade the day after I left uni. So my degree show was on Friday, and Grenade started on Monday. I was stupid enough to agree to that with
How did
little
you get
break.
the job? How did you?
So I got the job. Really, it's a good story. It's I did a placement year in the Students' Union, so I was doing all the flyers for freshers, all of that sort of stuff, student nights out, and there was one guy, Steve, who was the graphic designer, and I got close contact with him, and he was friends with Alan Jules' accountant. So Alan and Juliet started the business, a Midlands couple, started out their living room, and that's sort of how they grew it. And he said, "Oh, this company, this brand they call Grenade, they're looking for a junior graphic designer. I want to bring everything in the house." And I was like, "Yeah, I'll go for that." And this was probably in the March. And as you do as you end uni, you're just sort of seeing you actually, I've got to start thinking now. Come June, I won't have anything to do. So I'd applied for a few roles. I'd had a few interviews with standard Birmingham agencies. Sort of didn't really feel I felt like I would go in and you'd start back at year 7 again, and then you'd work your way up, and that was a feeling. And I went to this warehouse in Coventry with this eccentric couple, this entrepreneurial couple, and we just chatted for like 2.5 hours around ideas, and it wasn't necessarily a graphic design chat. They didn't care about my degree. And it was just a really good chat. I showed them my portfolio, and they offered me the job, and it was just there to bring this great brand, what they'd made and constructed, and bring it to life. And that's probably been my role for definitely for the start of it. It was their crazy ideas or their entrepreneurial ideas, which they always find a way of doing stuff that what other people aren't doing. I think that's what Alan and Juliet did very well, and had a really good work ethic.
Can you give us an example of that? A good example of that?
One of the great Grenade stories is Alan Jules starting the business. They had this great product. It was Firma Detonator. People might know it. It was in a grenade shape. I haven't got one, but it's a grenade shaped container. So let's do a fat burner, weight management stuff. Let's put it in a grenade container and call it grenade. And this, and they had this product, but they had no money to market it. They couldn't do the standard marketing, and they had a show coming up which they had a grant for. The grant was for £500, and at the NEC, which is down the road from them, is the national sort of, it was called Body Power back in the day, and that's where like a lot of their gym sort of target audience were. They didn't have enough money to buy these stands, which nowadays we do. So he's obviously his first idea was to call his mate who had a tank. So he called him up. He said,
most of our mates have got tanks, haven't they? That's the thing.
Yeah. It said, can I use this tank for this show? The guy replied, yeah, how many do you want? They rocked up in this tank. They had all the products.
More than one tank, was that?
Yeah, we go down to it now, and it's like a field of tanks and military vehicles. Okay. It's crazy. That's our corporate days. When when teams do corporate days, we take the Friends of Grenade down to there and paintballing, crushing cars with tanks. This gives you a sense of what a low sugar chocolate bar brand does, and why Grenade's a bit different when you walk in the door. So I did that, and they caused a stir. And you've seen those guys in the corner; they've got a tank, and it's about thinking. Doing stuff on a budget, doing stuff, not being restricted by money. And people have said this before, it's great for creativity, and it really was. And I came into this business where the plus was this, like, so creativity, and so let's do it, let's just go for it. And then the other side was, we need to be meaningful, and we need to be clear on who we are. And it's still something we do today, really, because we just want to make noise, and we want to make the Grenade brand as a whole be seen. If that's we've got the hot air balloon now, which is it's a crazy story.
One of your social channels. It looks cool.
Yeah, so again, it's just a standard thing for a company to do on as a marketing activation. So yeah, that started. So yeah, we've got I think it's 100 feet tall hot air balloon shaped like a grenade, and we flew it over the Euros, when they were going on. And that was our activation. It's been all around the world now. It's still out there somewhere creating some noise. And yeah, that's the sort of, I'd say, the way Grenade does things, and that's the culture which part of my job I try and get into the team now. When we have got the money, we have got targets to hit, marketing are trying to be constant and clear, and how all brands you think they should be. And sometimes you need to step back and go, actually, no, we're just doing this because it's the dumb thing. And I feel like a professional by doing these nice marketing 360 campaigns, or actually, is it better to go back to basics, really? And that's something Grenade always, the last few years, have always been challenged with, really. And to myself, junior graphic designer started, I was doing as all graphic designers stuff, as do digital ads, packaging, which I still do today. Really, I've got hands on with that.
Yeah.
The events, all the trade shows we do, and just worked in a team. And next to me was who's head of product now, and next to him was head of sales in the UK.
Yeah.
And it was this little core team with Alan Jules upstairs, really, in the sort of marketing, sales, product departments. Downstairs we still had the warehouse, and it was just a transition from there, really. And I've heard in previous of your podcasts where people say it's a completely different company as you move from 10 employees to 25 to 50, and it's been exactly like that. And as a creative,
how many employees are in the team now?
We're just in the UK office, we're around 80, and then worldwide probably 100. Okay. So yeah, it's.
And so, how many people are you managing specifically, Alex?
So there's 8 in my team, and then in a wider marketing team, I think we probably would go to 20. So still managing sort of the social media managers to an extent, not line managing, but managing how they should be creative in their jobs.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a completely different beast, and I just roll with it really, and I learn what I can, and I was almost pushed from a graphic design led, and I hear a lot of people on podcasts and on LinkedIn, and I don't relate too much from that creative background and their career as they've gone on. Other creative directors, other heads of creative. Grenade was just such a, we put brand first, and we did all we can to push that forward in the most creative way we we could possibly do. And I think as a professional now, I'm such suited to that in-house entrepreneurial growing a business side of creativity, and that's what we were. That was sort of my. I always wanted to do something. Have you seen what Grenade have just done? And that was our brief. It wasn't awards. It wasn't so much views or let's do a TV ad, and it was just like what would we like to do? What would we like to see as a as people? And if we'd like it, some other people will do it and might like it as well. And that's sort of been the Grenade way from day one. That's from products. People say to Rob, who's our head of product, who's amazing. Now that we are owned by Mondelez, how do you who feeds back? How do you get all your customer feedback? And we're like, well, there's enough of us around the table from all different walks of life. If we all like it, let's do it. And from then, it's like action stations, like I've said, and we've gone. So yeah, I've just sort of roll with it and have a team now of graphic designers and animators. And at one point, I've done everyone's job, not very well. And these people have come in and they're amazing, and I just support what they do. I keep on saying.
Do you find that you're sort of less hands-on now? You know, usually when people go through that sort of progression of roles, you know, from being a designer to, you know, lead graphic designer, creative lead, head of creative, etc. As you go up that chain, you start to do a little bit less of the doing, a little bit more directing, a little bit more coaching, and inspiring your team. I mean, is that what you felt? And also, how do you sort of get the best out of that creative team? How do you make sure they're sort of performing at their sort of their best? And especially now that you'll have you've been part acquired by Mondelez, there'll be influence that comes from more stakeholders, more shareholders, etc. How do you sort of keep that sort of essence of what you have as a vision as the brand manager, and how do you sort of make sure you get the best out of them all?
Yeah, so yeah, to the first point, yeah, it is a step. You step back, but you get people who do stuff better than you, really, and you see their ideas come to something what you've been doing for 3-4 years, and then you go, actually, that's quite refreshing, and you bounce off them. So my time is hands off, but I'm very close with the team, and I try and keep that on our days in, which will be tomorrow. I'll be on the pod with them, and I'll be looking, giving comments on back. I'll say, actually, send it over, I'll have a go.
Yeah.
And we still work like that, and I haven't stepped away from it fully, that I'm not part of the full chain. I'd still like to be that person. But yeah, it is great to have those sort of leading the brand's direction. In fact, we're entering new territories. How do you think the brand will work now as a brand called Grenade? How are we going to enter this territory? What part of the Grenade as a brand, which is quite a whole, what should we do? And those creative challenges are a lot more what I do now as well. Marketing, brand, it's that sort of being creative there rather than visual. What does this stand look like? But I still help with the guys, and yeah, and the as we grow and as we work more from home, and getting that into the team is a real challenge. I won't lie that it's not. And back in the day, it was, you had an idea, everyone heard it, everyone was in the office, and everyone could give their opinion, even whoever it was in finance, in sales, even if it was marketing. Why didn't you do that? And it gave this real sort of a really good insight into what Grenade as a whole is, and trying to distill that culture in a team which is now 80 plus to a team where not everyone's always in is difficult. But we do that, and it's about getting key members in the team who always breathe that as well. No matter what job you're doing, you can be creative in your role. You can be creative in the sense of making the most of your time, making most of the budget you've got, making most of the assets you've got, and being that and trying to do stuff differently is still they're the messages what you're giving to the team, and in giving it to them, really it's everyone's job really to hold up that brand. And as we enter sort of this, we got acquired by Mondelez a year ago, which is great. The opportunities it's given to the sales team, the opportunities it's given for distribution points, resources internally. We were this sort of, I don't know, fighting above our weight for a long time, and now we've got all this, but we've also got a lot of eyes on us going, oh, actually, can you do that? And it's fun, and we're moving in on Monday to Bourneville, so we're into their offices. So expect some noise, and it's going really, really well. And I think as a brand, as Grenade, you do have those conversations about, actually we're bit more, we're bigger now, we've got a lot more eyes on us, shall we not? And I think still retain the Grenade brand. That's what Al would say to the team. Be disruptive, never disrespectful, and do stuff differently, because as soon as you start doing what people do, you've just become vanilla.
And is that the kind of brand values that sit behind the brand? Is that any of them that come through, or that you use sort of internally in the culture as well? Or
we Juliet, who's no longer part of the day-to-day running, she stepped back from the business a few years ago, but she was there right from the start, co-founder, and she was my boss, and she was to still, I never want to be vanilla. If people hate us, that's fine. If people love us, that's amazing. I want people to have an opinion of us. As soon as they don't have an opinion, you've lost the brand. And that's what Grenade should be, really. It's getting that in. And that's not necessarily saying you've got to do a tank in a street, paint it orange and go through with smoke grenades. Obviously, that's not appropriate in certain places or wherever it is, but there's about doing stuff differently. There's about using your budget right, which is definitely a core value. We don't do normal, we sort of say. And if you ever meet Al, ever hear him speak, you kind of get that. He never does it.
So I'm quite interested in that point. You know, I think a lot about brands, and, you know, I believe as well that brands are there to attract customers, but they're also there to repel, right? Because, you know, like Juliet said, you don't want or can't have everyone liking your brand, right? And the more divisive it is, the better. But also, I suppose there's some quite sensitivities, and you sort of touched on it slightly there, just that, you know, when you have tanks and grenades, and then suddenly there's a war in Ukraine. I bet, you know, for a moment when you're in that company and that starts to happen, that becomes the zeitgeist for the moment in time. The world's lens is on Ukraine. How do you have to deal with that as a brand manager? How did you have to sort of sensitively sort of figure that out? Because I'd imagine there's a moment there that's quite difficult to sort of navigate.
Yeah, we've had those conversations, obviously, with what's going on in the world. We don't want to be insensitive with the way we do stuff, and we never set out to do that. But those conversations come up because, as you know, on the internet, people they make what make what your opinion is. They say what you're trying to say. We're like, no, actually, we wasn't saying that. So we've never really had that with Grenade. For who we are, and you see other companies, we've never really had that kickback and that real moment, actually, we stepped too far there. And you do read some companies have done that. We've never had that backlash. But yeah, everything's going
getting
on.
The tone of voice right, isn't it? And the personality, and making sure that that's kind of defined in a way that you are, that you're not being insensitive. That's it, isn't it?
Yeah, so not being insensitive, which we never would be, and understanding really where those touch points might be, or those bits will. And the Grenade brand is so huge that there's a lot more to us than just that. So okay, then let's not do the tank. Let's not do these visuals. We've got all this to play with. What is the message we're saying, and how are we going to say it in a different way, which is meaningful? That's a creative problem you give to the team then.
And what is the bigger, sort of beyond the products, beyond the protein bars that you create, what is the bigger sort of vision or bigger purpose for Grenade that you're trying to get across with the brand?
Yeah, Grenade's all about sort of fueling people who want to achieve their goals and get it done. That's what it is. And we create products which are good enough for the military, good enough for elite personnel, but also it's easy, accessible for anyone to get. And we want people really there to better themselves, and to, if you want to go and get it, we'll make it a little bit easier. Look, it's still on you guys. It's still, you've got to put the work in. But if you need help, if you haven't got a perfect diet, we're here. We're here. If you haven't got it, if you haven't got the education, the content, or whatever, you don't know what you do, we'll provide it on our social. We'll create a community there on that. And then that's sort of the sports, the sort of active sort of side of the company. But then there's also this other bit which we all hear. We all want a laugh. We all want to do something a bit different. We all want to see stuff which we want to see something different going on online. And we're there. We just want to have some fun, and that there's that clash really. There's that sort of we're not just serious about getting it done and achieving your goals. We
serious fun havers.
Yeah, we always say we do serious products, but we don't take ourselves too seriously. Serious about achieving our goals, but yeah, having fun while we do it. And that's it really. That's what the grenade thing, the mantra is. That instills down to even doing our jobs. That's what we want to do. We'll get it done on time. We'll nail the brief. We'll do it all to spec. But yeah, we'll have a great time we do, and we'll do it a bit differently to everyone else.
Absolutely. Now, there's a lot of brands trying to figure their way around TikTok and these kind of newer formats that we find ourselves in social media. And I've noticed the Grenade are pretty active on TikTok, and I'm just wondering how much of a sort of input as a brand manager you have in that, and what you're finding is working there. I know brands like yours often work with a lot of influencers, and very recently, I can't remember his name. What's his name? I had it written down somewhere. The Protein Bar. James Doyle Fitness. I noticed you jumped on that, which, for anyone listening, if you've not been on TikTok for the last week while, pretty much people pop up all over TikTok, and they just type Protein Bar, BOR. And there's a guy from Ireland, a fitness instructor, who basically coined this. And you did a little bit of a brand collab with him. Is that right?
Yeah, so you couldn't miss it really on TikTok, like you say. Every single post was like protein bar. I mean, you're getting these influencers going, "What is this?" So yeah, all socials done in house. It's Grace who heads that up, and she leads it really, and she's really good at sort of making sure everything's posted on time, all the good captions, everything's right, all the community management. And all I do is a light touch on brand, making sure that what we post is what we want to post. So that's all I really have. And she's just such a great person to have in the social team that it's really easy. We used to say people get it, and if they get it, like I said at the start, they implement that grenadeness into their job. It's right. It's easy. And that's what Grace does. So she messaged me going, "Have you seen this? I think we should do something." So this was like 5:00, and I don't know what I was doing.
Have you made my protein bar? No.
So we mocked one up, and I did this. So it's talk about hands-on. I did it. I was like, okay, I'll do it. So we mocked up this protein bar, called it Ginger Nut because he's crazy, and he wouldn't mind that. And we mocked it up, and we sent it out just to get his attention. He had messaged us, and the team had sent him out sort of a care package with loads of products. But we wanted to jump on the trend as lots of social media managers do now. And we sent it to him, and I think it's 600,000 views on it, and it's good content, and it was really easy to do. Cost us nothing, cost us some bars, cost us some few conversations. And
have you not actually made the bar? Like, because if that was me, I would be like, actually make the bar, sell it as a limited edition, and get him as the influencer to.
Yeah. So they're talking. I'm sure there's talks, and I'm sure there's loads of other brands are after him as well, who can pay more than us. But for us, that's a great marketing activation. Really, it's really nice and easy, really nice and cheap resource, low lift. You're talking about it, we're all everyone sees it, and that's the Grenade way of doing marketing. And it's these stories, and part of my job is to tell someone might not have started when that happened.
Yeah.
Tell those, okay, I get it. I'm going to do everything I do right, and I'm going to bring that into my day-to-day job. And you're on for a winner. It's an easy brand to think of ideas for. So it's reactive, and we've done a few different ones. And I think part of Grenade's mantra, in a way, its marketing strategy, we should say, is really to react to and be part of the conversation everyone else is having online, really.
Well, so Alex, so you've been on this exciting journey of creativity and the role. What does the future hold for you as a creative? Do you see yourself at Grenade long term, or do you, where your aspirations lie as a creative person?
Really still enjoying Grenade as we transition into sort of Mondelez. We've got loads of great projects coming up. Like I said, it's almost opened up a whole new toy box for us to play with. So I love the team. That's such a positive Grenade. So really, really looking forward to the next couple of years, really just seeing these projects through, which take this long. If you want to develop a bar, we're not like most companies where just pick them up from the shelf and rewrap it. We're developing them. So really doing that, transitioning to sort of the next step, really, to that 100 employee, like we've said. And then I love working with brands that stand for something and want to disrupt. I think that's my sort of bit, my niche, really. We'll see where it goes. But that's what I'm really into. And those sort of high growth, fast growth companies is I love being part of. It's the hustle and bustle of them, which is good.
Definitely, it's definitely an exciting part of a business's growth. So there's a lot of young creatives listening to this, and maybe a nice place to end up. The end of the podcast today is that a lot of the younger people listening would love to get a job like yours, or love to kind of end up in a role like you. Is there any advice that you wish you could sort of hand back down? Anything that you would like to have told your younger self when you started out that you wish you knew sooner?
I don't know about myself. I just roll with it. That's sort of what I did, and I didn't have these big aspirations when I was in uni, where people were like, "I'm going to go and do this. I'm going to be a creative director." I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I just took the opportunity which I felt suited my creativity the most. I've never been titles, aspirational, that sort of sense, but I love being part of creative projects. So that would be my advice. Find out those projects, really find what you enjoy doing creative wise, and then start building on it there. That will come. And there's a lot more opportunities in the creative space, in the graphic design space as well, than just the big names you see out there, what your lecturer might be telling you. There's lots of brands there, which a lot of people, when you see actually what was their first job, they got the foundation there, working in a little warehouse with a team, and understanding how business works, how your designs actually make money in the long run. And knowing that, having that experience, then for me personally, even now, I can then take that on, and it won't keep me in a creative graphic design bubble. So that would be my advice.
Fantastic. Well, that feels like a nice natural place to end. So, Alex, I just want to thank you so much, and congratulations on the success of your career and the Grenade brand. You've been doing a great job, and I wish it grows to way more than 100 in the near future. Congratulations. And thanks for listening.
Thank you.